everything is so different, but everything seems to be working? Let's talk about episode 5 of The Wheel of Time. So I have a lot of things to say about this episode. I'm going to try to condense it and make it real short. I hope you enjoy watching this painting of Loial, this time-lapse painting, while I talk about stuff. So I like in this episode that we kind of pick it up after a month has passed. I'm kind of sad that we missed some time on the road. And again, I keep going back to one of my biggest struggles with the series is pacing. And in this case, we're missing a bunch of stuff on the road. We've lost Tom. We've lost a lot of time with Tom and Matt and Rand, and they've kind of accelerated some of those pieces of things. And so as a viewing audience, I think for people who haven't read the book, it's probably not a big deal. For those of us who've read the books, we sort of, I think, miss some of that stuff. And that's been my biggest challenge with the show overall, is just all the stuff that's being missed, some of the changes that are making to sort of try to get across some of the character nuances and world building without having all that stuff being shown on screen. And I think overall it's working. I've said before that I feel like the pacing is actually a good thing, and I understand why they've had to do it that way. It's part of adapting something like this. It would be extremely challenging to do, and I think it's just the best that they could do with the material that they have and the budget and time that they have to put it on screen. I think as a reader, I often felt like I lived in each moment with the characters in the world. So as I was like reading the book, I really felt like I was like living with them in the story world. So that's one of the things that I miss of, like, I don't know, this stretching out or condensing of time, I guess I should say. I feel like I'm missing some of that like lived in feeling with the characters. But I like in this episode that we get things like, we see sick Matt, we see Dragon Mount, and we see Rand kind of responding to the mountain in an interesting way. I think I've seen it before, I think is what he said. It was really kind of a neat moment there. And we get a beautiful shot of Tarvalon. I don't know. I've always called it Tarvalon, but I think in the show they're calling it Tarvalon, just a bit of a different inflection. I also loved that we got a little bit of like some of the book language that I felt like we've been missing, their curse words and stuff. So when they walk into Tarvalon, I liked it how Rand was like blood and ashes, and he just was like blown away by the scope of the city, which is fun too. We get to see kind of like that sheep herder mentality. Of course, we know in the books they would have already been to a couple, like a larger city prior to coming to Tarvalon, so we're missing some of that. But I felt like this sort of worked. And of course, we get him sort of saying like, Tom told me about this place, which was interesting. I don't know, thought that was kind of cool. We didn't get to see that, but we get sort of an idea that there's more conversation that was had on the road that we weren't privy to. I like that we get the whistling when they're inside Tarvalon, and we get a few little glimpses of Padan Fain. It's really cool. Fun little drops in there. I actually missed it the first time I watched it through. I missed Padan Fain. The second, and then my family was like, "Whoa, did you see that?" And I was like, "What?" I missed that when he was sitting in the little thing on the road there before they saw the procession coming through. I enjoyed all the warder stuff. There was like the white cloak stuff I enjoyed. All the changes, the white cloaks and tinkers and all those things. The one thing about the white cloak situation that I didn't get was how they're operating so close to Tarvalon and they're not being shooed off. And that was kind of weird to me. I don't know the dynamics of all that stuff and how that's all working in the world of the TV show, but it just seemed odd to me that these guys are like slaughtering Aes Sedai. Maybe this is a new thing in the world of the Wheel of Time. Maybe they haven't gone around slaughtering Aes Sedai for generations. Maybe this is like a new, I don't know. It all felt a little weird to me. It was super brutal. Eamon Valda's like this horrible man, and I think they're doing a very good job of setting him up as like a series villain. He's great, like as an actor, and just really carrying that really well. I kind of enjoyed the sort of like coming out of the Golden Eyes and starting to see some of this stuff with the wolves. Of course, there's changes there that we as book readers would know about, and I feel like this is okay. They've kind of moved the axe part, which we would have gotten in this part, to his wife, which is a lot more traumatic in a way. Anyway, those are just nuances and changes that are interesting. We've got Loial, of course, and of course you can see me painting. So when I saw the photos, like a lot of book readers, when I saw the first photos of Loial, I was like a little worried about what he was gonna be like on screen. I didn't like the look of him. I was a little bit concerned about how they've designed the Ogier, but man, Hamid Animishon, I'm gonna say that so wrong, I apologize, but nailed it. He just nailed this character. I feel like he is Loial. He just really embodied the character for me, which is like really fun. I was worried, and then the moment that he spoke, it was like this warm kind of like presence, and it was like, I guess the way that I feel about it is like it's like a close friend that I'd met or hadn't seen for a long time, that I met up with and just felt like comforted by their presence. This is kind of how I feel about that. It was really cool. Anyways, I thought Loial was great. Super cool. Kind of wish they would have treated him a little differently visually, but the character to me is just portrayed so well that I can look past all that stuff. I felt like the Warder stuff was all really new to me. I don't know if there's parts, I haven't read New Spring, so I don't know if there's stuff in New Spring that kind of this is pulling from, but it really fleshed out kind of that Warder Aes Sedai bond, the Warder community a little bit, and some of these like cultural, ritualistic things that they're doing that, I don't know, you guys could tell me, I don't know if it exists in the book canon in terms of like New Spring or whatever, because I haven't read that. Felt a little bit weird in some ways, but I thought the interactions between like Lan and Stephen were really good. Very interesting character building stuff. We got to see like some little idols of Forsaken, which I think is the first time in the show that we've heard spoken about Forsaken, and then even the name is Shamael and the Father of Lies. All those kind of little pieces were really cool, kind of like foreshadowing and pointing towards something more that, as a viewer not knowing the books, I'm sure is probably like, what are they talking about? But pretty cool, and like a hint of things to come. And we got to see like some Aes Sedai politics, which was interesting. Leandrin's weird, creepy. Yeah, and I feel like, I think the biggest thing for me is like episode 4 and 5 for me, they're the most different, I think, out of the episodes that we've seen so far in terms of content, sequencing, events, and different things. Like they've kind of pulled away from the book in some ways in those 2 episodes, but I honestly feel like those 2 episodes have solidified this series into its own thing, and everything's kind of clicking into place. I feel like everything's working, personally. I'm curious what you all think. I just feel like this is becoming its own thing. It feels like an authentic expression of the Wheel of Time, of the world, of the nuances. The characterizations are really coming through. The casting is amazing, and the actors are doing a great job with the roles that they've been given, I feel. I know, like, I don't know how you all felt, but that whole like Warder funeral thing was weird. Kind of felt weird, but I really bought it. I think Daniel Henney sold it, and Rosamund Pike, like there's sort of that exchange of looks, the emotion on Rosamund's face, and then her sort of beating her chest out of like almost a compulsion of the emotion that she was being transferred across the bond. I thought all that stuff was really crazy. A nuanced, meaningful performance by Daniel Henney, where he obviously was just torn because he had gone to try to spend the evening with his friend to prevent him from doing something like he did, but he didn't know he was drinking sleepy time tea. And it just, yeah, I don't know, like that weight of losing him would just be really difficult for Lan, being the sort of like protector type of personality that he is. So I thought his performance of that was extremely nuanced and believable. I felt it, and I bought into what was going on in that moment. So I thought that was really cool, and just a neat way to express this sort of aspects of the warder community, the warder Aes Sedai bonds. Excited to see kind of what else they do in that space and how that plays into further storytelling down the road within the show. So curious what you all think and how you're enjoying it, if what you thought of Loial. Loved it. I'm excited to see more in episode 6. Yeah, that's it. So just quickly, if you enjoy my painting, please consider following me on patreon.com/Corey Lansdell. That's where you'll find my Patreon page. My patrons get early access to my work, early access to videos like this. I put out a video each month that's a process video talking more specifically about my art process. So from a creative perspective, I have a few slots open still for one-on-one teaching around art and drawing. And I do that on a monthly class, one-on-one, each month, if you're interested in that. And then also you can check out my prints of my fan artwork at etsy.com/Corey Lansdell, I believe it is, or /shop/Corey Lansdell. And the best way to follow me, easiest way, is to go to Instagram and follow at Third Age Art. That's where I post most of my fan artwork, and I interact with people a lot on that platform. But until next time, thanks for listening, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you to all my patrons, and I hope that you all are enjoying the Wheel of Time as much as I am. So we'll talk about more later. Ciao. Just wanted to let you know quickly that this limited edition print is available in my Etsy store. You can find it on etsy.com and just search for Corey Lansdell. I'll put a link in the description below, but was happy to put this one together in partnership with Prime Video UK.